Hello, guys. Welcome back. You are listening to The Draft Order, a series of sports takes brought to you by me, your host, Robert Jenkins. Before we get into the show, I want to make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the show. Thank you again for taking the time and listening to me today. Big week in the world of sports. We had the national championship game between Miami and Indiana. It was quite a fun one. Miami kept it close. We even saw towards the end, 6-point game. Miami had a chance at the end to go on a game-winning drive. Sadly, it ends in an interception for Carson Beck, and Indiana complete their year-long dominance over the college football landscape and put their first national championship in Indiana history. And you would think that means that college football is over, but college football never sleeps. It's a 24/7 sport these days. And recruiting is at an all-time high. Even though the transfer portal has been closed, we got reports that Ole Miss has been out tampering with Clemson. Ole Miss cannot stay out of the media right now. I mean, we already know all the conversations we've been having for months now about Lane Kiffin leaving the job, taking half of the staff, loaning them back, and then asking for them to come back as they're making a run. But it looks like Pete Golding, Lane Kiffin disciple, he is not playing about this Ole Miss roster. He's going out and trying to recruit players that are actively in classes ahead of the 2026 season. I mean, he sent a Clemson linebacker a offer of $1 million via text. We've also seen a lot of head coaches get hired in the NFL through our coaching carousel. I'm definitely going to get into that during this show. We're going to go around and grade each one of these hires from the perspective of the team or the fan base, you know. And then WNBA schedule released. Really looking forward to the new WNBA season. Got my Valkyries tickets for the home opener against the Phoenix Mercury. Hopefully that the season doesn't get delayed by any CBA or lockouts. I think they're going to get a deal done. They got 4 more months to get one done. It's going to be a deal that neither the owners or the players are going to be happy with because there's such a large gap in between what they've been getting out the revenue share and what they want. I mean, you definitely got to move the number up. The NBA is receiving about 90% of the league revenue to go towards player salaries, and then the WNBA, I believe it's like 17. Let me double check that. Oh, sorry. WNBA. Yeah, right now they get 10%. And I'm sorry, that NBA figure was wrong too. NBA players get about 49 to 51. WNBA players 9 to 10%. So yeah, that number definitely has to make some headway up. I don't think they're gonna get nearly as much as the NBA players have been getting. There's gonna have to be a couple CBAs in between before they get talking about half. But hopefully they can walk out of this with like 15-20%. That's some progress, you know. And lastly, before we get into our full show, I just want to talk about the Lakers and all this news that's been coming out with Jeannie Buss. Jeannie Buss has felt like LeBron James and Clutch Sports has been controlling the Lakers franchise over the last couple of years. And I'm here to tell you, they have. And you should be grateful. Before LeBron James came to the Lakers, the Lakers had a playoff drought, basically from 2 years before Kobe retired until LeBron James decided to grace them with his presence in Hollywood. They wanted it to look like they went out and got him, but if anything, Magic Johnson was the pivotal player in getting LeBron James. He's the guy that's sat with LeBron in his home. I don't see what Jeanie Buss really wanted out of this relationship. He brought the city a title. What more can you ask for a superstar that you got in his late 30s and has been carrying you into his 40s? But I digress. Let's get into the show. First off, we're going to talk about the NFL Conference Championship games, starting off with the AFC Patriots versus Denver Broncos. This is a game that has taken a very different feel from when it was first announced, with the breaking news that Bo Nix was injured with an ankle injury, out for the rest of the season. That means Jarrett Stidham's going to be coming in for this crucial playoff game. And if I'm a Denver fan, I do not feel any confidence about that. This Jarrett Stidham is like, all backup quarterbacks don't get a lot of reps. That is true. We learned that painfully through the Shedeur Sanders saga throughout this season. But it's noteworthy to know that Jarrett Stidham has had he's had 3 different stops: Patriots, Raiders, and now the Denver Broncos. For his time on the Patriots, he didn't see the playing field much. The only time that I really remember is there was a Patriots game in which they were up. They pulled Tom Brady in like the 4th quarter. Jarrett Stidham comes in, stinks up the joint so bad that they have to pull Tom and put him back in the game. Then he goes to the Raiders, has a brief start after they bench whatever benchable player they had. And then he goes to the Broncos. People are acting like Sean Payton was really looking to get Jarrett Stidham. He was an A+ backup. But for someone who isn't such enamored by Jarrett Stidham and what he has to offer, he hated Russell Wilson the whole time that he was in Denver. And it wasn't until they were worried that he was going to get his injury payout bonuses that they were forced to put Jarrett Stidham in for those last 2 games. You would think if you got a backup that is, your preferred choice, that was the backup you were looking to have, why not bench Russell Wilson, considering that you don't like any of the production that he's giving you? So you can miss me with all the narratives of Jarrett Stidham as some good backup. We have no history to show that, and that puts the Patriots in a really unique opportunity where get past a legendary defense and you go to the Super Bowl. You're not going to have much offensive opposition coming from the Broncos. And speaking of defenses, Denver defense, whole nother level, been playing all season at a historic rate. One of the best defenses in point scoring, third down conversion rate. Enough can't be said about the Broncos defense. But we really need to give some credit to the Patriots and how they've played throughout this playoff so far. We're giving a lot of credit to taking away a lot of the credit from the Patriots defense, to give blame to some of the quarterbacks they played in Justin Herbert and CJ Stroud. But I'm a firm believer that even if a quarterback's playing bad, you have to give some of that credit to the defense for capitalizing on those plays. 4 interceptions for CJ Stroud. Those interceptions do not catch themselves. That's the Patriots defense. He may have put the ball in harm's way, but you got to give him some credit for finishing the job. And they're only allowing 10 points per game throughout these playoffs. Couple that with Jarrett Stidham, I think that the Patriots defense could be one of the key factors in this game. And it's going to be really needed, considering that you still have a young quarterback in Drake May. I know he was an MVP candidate, but this is still his first playoff run. All the help you can give to a young quarterback, you take it. But he's in a position where he just needs to be better than Jarrett. Don't put the ball in harm's way. No hero plays. Make all the small little plays that they give you, and you get to the Super Bowl. And you gotta love that. Patriots fans, how How does it feel to be the most blessed NFL fandom out in the land? You spend 3 seasons in a rebuild, and then you're back in the Super Bowl. And the next game is going to be the Rams versus the Seahawks, the third edition of this rivalry. And it's been, the first 2 games were amazing. We got a field goal game for the first one, and then we get an overtime thriller for the second one. Who knows what this third game is going to be? I think it's going to be really close. This game is going to be anchored by the Rams offense that's been moving like crazy behind Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, and Devontae Adams. 2 great backs in the backfield, and Blake Corum and Kyron Williams. And then on the other side, you look at that Seahawks defense, who has been smothering teams all year, and then playing a complementary style of offense behind their backs and Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, and then Sam Darnold has been playing really well, continuing his surge since going to the Vikings. This is his second 11-game win season. But I think that the Rams are going to come out on top here, just slightly. I think when you put the 2 games together, it was a little fluky on the Seahawks end for their performances. I mean, let's look at to the second game. We had a play in which everybody thought the play was dead for a 2-point conversion, and the player just picks it up off the ground, and they say, "This is a live ball, 2 points. Let's go to overtime." And the Seahawks win in overtime. I don't see that as a sustainable result. And then for the first game, Sam Darnold throws 4 picks. That shows me that it's very clear that the Rams have his number. They understand what to do to him systematically to create that pressure. And Sam Darnold's a player. Once he throws 1 pick, 2, 3, 4 follows. He's just that type of streaky player. So I think the Rams are going to win this game and make it to the Super Bowl, and then they'll win. I think the NFC Championship game is the de facto Super Bowl. Patriots, obviously, though, if they win the game, there's no major injuries on that side. But you got to think, the Patriots were always more of a great story than they were a great team. They're probably thinking they're in year 1 of a very serious rebuild, and they just wind up being in the Super Bowl, so they're way ahead of schedule, and you gotta love that. But I don't think they are able to pull it off against a veteran team like the Rams in the Super Bowl. So that's my pick. And if you're not a team in one of those 4 fan bases, you're not looking forward. I mean, you're looking forward to the championship games because we all love football. But your team is in the mode of the offseason. We're thinking draft picks, coaches, how are we going to get our team better? So we could be talking about NFC, AFC Championship games. And the first building block on that, at least for a quarter of the league this year, is going to be hiring a new coach. So a bunch of coaches have been falling off the shelves. So I'm going to go ahead and grade each one, starting off with Kevin Stefanski going to the Falcons. I'm going to give this a F. I think this is a terrible hire. I think it's terrible for both. I mean, I'm doing these grades based on if I was a fan of the team, or even if you're the front office, how good of a decision this was. This is the rare case where I think the decision was terrible for both parties. I don't understand why Kevin Stefanski wanted the Falcons job. I mean, you come from a team in the Browns that has had really, really good defenses over the past few years that you've been there. And you're going to follow that up by going to the Falcons, who is only 1 year removed from being a really terrible defense. And we can probably put most of that improvement onto the fact that they hired a defensive coordinator to be their head coach last year. And then when we're looking at it from the Falcons' eyes, I just don't really understand. your best tools is your offense with all the star players, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson. I'm a little iffy on the quarterback who you're going to have. Kirk Cousins, Penix is going to be out for the year. I don't know if Penix is even the long-term solution, even if he was healthy. But the offense is definitely their best side of the ball. And I can see Kevin Stefanski, he's an offensive coach. But you got to look at his body of work. I don't understand how he was able to just hop right back into another head coaching job after 6 years with the Browns. All those different quarterbacks that came through the ranks. What makes you think that he's going to be able to fix Michael Penix? He's had every quarterback prototype you can imagine, and he hasn't been able to make any of those work. I think that he should have spent another year as a year as a coordinator, maybe a year or two, before potentially getting another one of these opportunities. Even if he did get another opportunity, which I'm not really sure that he should have gotten. He was 45 and 56. This is just not a retread that I like. And I will say the exact opposite about this next one. Jeff Hadley to the Dolphins. This is a bombshell for the Dolphins. I cannot believe they were able to get a hire so good. This team's in cap hell, and I'm hoping that they understand that. I hope that the Dolphins front office understand what they have in Jeff Hadley. This is a great hire. You got to get yourself out of this cap hell, though. I think they take a year or two, be patient, build this roster. But you're getting a guy who has a ton of experience, even experience as a head coach down at Boston College. Boston College looked great under Jeff Hadley. That defense looked good. They were making strides in the ACC. He really boosted the program there at Boston College. And then he goes to the Packers and be their defensive coordinator, top 10 defense last year, top 5 this year. And he also had a good stand in Ohio State. I think this is a slam dunk hire. I'll give this an A+ for the Dolphins. The only thing that can mess this up is them not being patient enough for this rebuild and giving them a chance to really shine. Up next, we got Jesse Minter to the Ravens. I'm giving this a C. This is very they're just keeping up with the same Harbaugh formula. Jesse Minter is a former coach at Michigan. He was the defensive coordinator there under Jim Harbaugh. So I think this is just an instance where they really didn't want to fire John. They didn't really want to fire John, but as so many years being at the same team, I think the message just got a little stale coming from the same person. But this is a clear sign to me that the ownership and the front office down in Baltimore does like that message, does like that style of team that they were building. They were just looking for a new voice. And I think Jesse Minter can hop right into this and kind of keep the same program. And the next coaching hire, Robert Saleh to the Titans. I'm going to give this one an A. Robert Saleh is a hell of a coach that was on the market here. This is the exact opposite of the Falcons. This is a great position for Robert Saleh, and it was great for the Titans to go out and get him. That defense is a blank slate down there in Tennessee. And Robert Saleh has made every defense that he has worked with over the last couple of years to a truly elite one. I mean, you take his time at the Jets. I know he didn't get the offense right. Bringing in Aaron Rodgers was terrible. But at the end of the day, you got to put a lot of that dysfunction. The fact that he even had the opportunity to Aaron Rodgers signing, got to put that on the Jets. This is a fresh slate. Down in Tennessee, you got not a stud quarterback, but I really liked what we saw from Cam Ward over this last year. Robert Saleh made that San Francisco defense amazing, even despite all the injuries that it had all throughout the year. I mean, for the playoff game, they were on their 8th middle linebacker. And he didn't look bad. So I love this hire here. I mean, they got a top pick, top quarterback, tons of cap space. He can just bring in the defensive players that he likes, and then go draft that offense. Offense on some rookie deals and a really stout veteran defense. I love that. And next, we're going to go to John Harbaugh to the Giants. I'm going to give this a C+. I do love John Harbaugh. I think he is a good coach, and I think the Giants are happy to have him. But then I'm hearing reports that, he had delayed signing the deal a couple days because he wanted to make sure that he had all this power over, roster. He's not going to report to the GM. He reports directly to the owner at the New York Giants. And in my opinion, it's sounding a lot like Bill Belichick and the kind of moves he was making towards his late tenure with the Patriots and how he is moving down in UNC. I don't like an old man coach who recently fired from his job getting immense power over an NFL franchise. Especially someone like John Harbaugh, who worked with the Ravens for years, who had not one, but 2 award-winning GMs building rosters for him down in Baltimore. So it's not like he's bringing in this tons of front office experience and scouting. He was getting a lot of that work done for him. So I'm not even really sure what gives him why they believe he would be good with this type of authority. But ultimately, it sounds like he's just setting up a scapegoat in the Giants GM for a bad year or two. That'll be the first guy to get fired. So while it is I'll say it's a B on the field. It's a C. It's a D off the field to average that out. And one of the newest hires, just fresh in today, Mike McCarthy to the Steelers. This one was difficult to grade. I'm thinking about a B because you do get a coach in Mike McCarthy that has won a Super Bowl, who has had great offenses and teams when he was working with Dallas. A lot of 10-6 seasons, making the playoffs a ton. But you do run into the same exact problem that you had with Mike Tomlin, in which a lot of playoff choking. I mean, obviously, Tomlin, Mike McCarthy, both Super Bowl winning coaches. So at some point, they were very good in the playoffs. It's the only way you can win a Super Bowl. But as of late, that's not what we've seen from Mike McCarthy. A lot of those woes have been based on defenses in the playoffs, and the Dallas defense hasn't been as bad as it's been this year, but it hasn't typically been a stout defense that we see in the playoffs. That we tend to see win in the playoffs. So only time will tell if that's going to be the type of move that gets them over the hump. But I also think the Steelers are probably looking at this as a rebuild as well. It's a roster that's very older, even if it is productive. And an honorable mention, not a head coaching hire, but I'm going to give a B to Mike McDaniels and getting the job as the Chargers OC. I think that's a great fit for Mike McDaniels. You get a polar opposite in quarterback play, move from very short to strong arm, physical tools quarterback in Justin Herbert. This is also a team that wants to have a run-first identity, and I think a lot of the cool running schemes that were played down in Miami are going to fit right in with this Chargers team. Bringing Mike McDaniel's schemes with Jim Harbaugh's toughness. Oof, watch out. And that is going to wrap up our show for today. Good luck this weekend. Try to stay out of the snowstorms. Patriots and Broncos, Rams, Seahawks tomorrow, or by the time you see this today. And then I'll talk to you next time going into NCAA. I'm going to give you top 25 way too early rankings. Until next time.